What is going on, everybody? It is Luke here. Today we're doing a little bit of an interesting video, more me talking, having a bit of a discussion around virtual assistants. The title obviously is what I wish I had known when I got my first full-time virtual assistant. Now, I did dabble with virtual assistants sort of previously around my first 1 or 2 years at Amazon, but that was part-time and I shared that with someone else, and it wasn't really a full-time, proper, all-in kind of job on that front. But when I did finally get my full-time VA, of course, like with most people, paid a service to hire and train a VA. Yeah, usually it's sourcing VA or an admin VA. But the problem is that I didn't expect, not necessarily expect, but I just didn't even think of, probably because it was the first time happening. You know, like with a lot of things that happen with experience, you learn what was good and bad about things, and you kind of grow and understand better. So, what I wish I had known was just because you're hiring a VA through a service, either sourcing or either for an admin, depending on what it is, or a mix potentially, that isn't the end of the road. Like, that isn't the point where you're like, right, now I can just hand everything to them and they can just crack on and I don't have to really, worry about them. They're going to do their job. It's going to be great. Yeah. I'm sure there has been cases like that. I'm sure there's some VAs on the planet that are like that. But the majority, and probably like mine, they are great people. They were great at what they were doing, but they needed a lot of guidance, specifically more details and understandings, a well-rounded understanding of everything that I was trying to achieve and what I needed them to do to achieve that. So the main thing obviously was the amount of time that I actually, after hiring them and paying to get them hired, the amount of time that I had to spend actually, it's not retraining, but it's training them to my specifications, like what I would call my specifications, right? Because the problem with some of these services is that you don't really get given a full understanding of what they're going to be learning. You get some understanding, like keeper charts and maybe recording purchases and stuff, but you don't really get a visual sense of what the actual modules potentially are of the training. How is the training being delivered? Maybe it's video form, maybe it's not, but I can't see that video form content. I'm not present when the VAs are getting trained. I can't see and understand exactly what they have been trained on. And I found that to be a massive, not really a problem, but a massive thing in terms of I had to go through and spend a lot of time training my VAs to do it, not properly necessarily, but do it to the best of their capabilities. That I ended up spending time so much, I would do the job myself almost because it wasn't quite right with what they were doing, and then I had to almost train them on the side, so I had to almost do it twice. I would actually do the job because I could actually do it fast and effective and to how I wanted it, and then they had to learn off of me, which was usually me recording content, going back and forth with communication, reiterating what I'm trying to achieve, what I'm trying to want them to be able to achieve for me. And it was a lot of, and that was many months. So many months after actually getting a VA, it was more work than it was before in a sense, because you had to almost like take that part out of you and put it into them, and obviously that takes time. Like, then they are not you. Like, even the way that you see things and understand things, they have to kind of like take time to really adjust and understand that point of view, because people don't always perceive things the same, right? And so that was, to me, like something that, I probably spent a good 1 to 3 years training my VA, like at least one solid massive year, definitely with my admin VAs, solid year, getting everything nailed down, like to the point where I was comfortable letting them run with it without every 2 seconds coming back to me and confirming, is this right, is this wrong, me going back, to the point where I could just let them go on with it. It was at least one solid year. And I'm talking everything, like basically the day-to-day business runnings of my business, because I actually hired sourcing VAs at the beginning and realized that, yes, they was delivering me leads and everything, but I had to do all the admin. I had to do all the day-to-day activities of the business, recording purchases, accounting, repricing, daily checks on the account, replenishables. I had to do the reconciliations. I had to do, you know, all of those things. Like, it was just, you know, obviously, the bigger you grow your business, the more consuming it becomes. And I soon realized that, well, if I can outsource that to them, then I can have all that time back, and I can focus on the bigger picture, you know, the bigger brain aspect of the business growth, right? So stuff like I can source specifically exactly how I know and need to source. I could find 3 times as many products in 6 times less time. That doesn't make sense. A sixth of the time. There we go. And I would find, and I know exactly, because I'm doing it and I've done it for so many years, I know it's always going to be correct, and I know exactly the products, blah, 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 blah. Bundles, looking to create opportunities. Am I finding new complementary products that I can bundle together, create different forms of new listings for myself, for the business to grow, right? Those things, obviously, I know that I'm very much capable of, because I've had not only the time in terms of the experience, but I've had the knowledge, I've had everything. I've had all of that for many years, and to sort of give that to them, it will take time, because they need to also experience things themselves, almost like run through it a handful of times to understand the process, where I already had that. But if I outsource my business completely, then at that point, I have a whole day every day to do whatever I need. 2 hours of sourcing, 3 hours of creating new bundles. I could read some books if I wanted. I can spend 2 hours at the end of the day thinking about the future of the business and what I want to grow it into. Maybe I'm looking at also YouTube. Maybe I'm looking at affiliates. Maybe I'm looking at creating other softwares. I don't know, services. There's always things that you can look to do within the Amazon space that isn't just selling on Amazon. And for me, that was like the sort of brain light bulb moment. That's what I'm trying to find. The light bulb moment, where it was to do with slowly transitioning them. And they do sourcing still. They do some sourcing specifically, but very specific sourcing that I get them to do. But the day-to-day is the admin, and that obviously took at least 1 year. But even 3 years later, up to now, there's still tasks that I'm adding in each month for them to do, because they're just little extras. Maybe it's a more recent one, tracking all shipments to Amazon through the UPS website and through pallets online, if I'm using pallets, to make sure that all the boxes are actually getting there. Because you know, when deliveries obviously get to Amazon, you might find that some of the products are short. Amazon book it in and they say, these products are short by 6 units, 3 units, 4 units, whatever. Well, actually, all those boxes getting to Amazon. And yes, there's ways to look on the Amazon Seller Central Hub to see if they're tracking, but also double checking that by going through the UPS website, using all the tracking numbers, making sure that the status is delivered at Amazon and it isn't stuck somewhere else. And it's all these little things that you have time to think about, because you have all that admin outsourced, the day-to-day runnings of the business. I mean, I go away now. I'm going away so many times. I went to Dubai for 2 weeks, beginning of the year. Then I went to England for another week. Yeah, I did a bit of work. Where else have I been? I went to Norway recently. Next week I'm going to Malta. And a week after that I'm going to America for 2 weeks. So I'm going to all these places, and I would not be able to do that without outsourcing the day-to-day operations of the business, basically running off the business. But that took so many years to get to. So I think the main thing that I have learned by getting VAs is that as soon as you've got them, you've hired them from some sort of service. It's usually what you do. You can obviously go and hire them through yourself through online jobs.ph or something, but there's going to be a lot of vetting, because you're going to get a lot of applicants, and sometimes if you don't think you're capable of actually picking the best people of the bunch, then obviously a service is probably more applicable. But then obviously come to summarizing this video so it doesn't go on forever. Summarizing it is that is the most interesting and important factor that I learned, is that even now it's an ongoing process. But obviously once you've got 90% of the business outsourced and running itself through VAs, you can then slowly add tasks over time. Sure, you can slowly just remove that extra 0.5%, 1%, but the majority of it is gone. And for me, that was it was game changing, basically. Why get them just to do sourcing when you still got to do all your admin? I mean, all of the stuff that you really don't want to be doing. Of course, you can have a sourcing and an admin and all that kind of thing as well. You can layer them up. Obviously, that's up to each specific business if you want to have 2 sourcing VAs, 2 admin VAs, so on and so forth. So I'm going to leave the video there. Obviously, hope you enjoyed it. Obviously, like I said, that is the main thing that I wish I had known when I first hired my first full-time VA, is that is just the beginning, and there is a massive uphill battle ahead. Of course, depending on the business that you run, you can push your VA as hard or as little as you want. For me, it was, I want to get my business outsourced. So they are running the day-to-day operations. I can focus on everything else. And that is the point where I've got it. Taking me at least 3 years, definitely 1 full year of hard work. And if anyone hasn't done that, that is something that I would highly suggest that you look to do, because once you've got rid of that day-to-day operations, that kind of weight off your mind, you're able to think of all of that bigger brain stuff, what you want to do with your business going forward. Do you want to start doing new projects, so on and so forth. So I'm going to leave the video there, everyone. Hope you like it. Nice and different, and more me chatting to the camera than anything else. But yeah, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.